mission is to support Caribbean countries sustainably manage.
The transboundary water is pivotal for sustainable development and global water security, serving 2.8 billion people, covering 42% of the Earth's surface and flowing through 153 countries. Enhancing water cooperation over transboundary water will be crucial for a water-secure world. Managers and practitioners of transboundary water are important catalyzers to boost this cooperation. They have requested for learning opportunities on how to improve governance aspects of transboundary freshwater security. The course will cover water security, international water law, water diplomacy, institutions, management tools, and financing. The course is dynamic, engaging the world-renowned professionals and international organizations and showcasing many case studies around the world.
The course is open for anyone who's interested in the subject to join. We look forward to welcoming you to the course.
Hello, everyone. It is a great pleasure to warmly welcome you to this first online engagement session of 2022 as part of session 2 of Transboundary Freshwater Security Governance Training. My name is Yumiko Yasuda. I'm the Senior Transboundary Water Cooperation Specialist at the Global Water Partnership and the lead faculty of the massive open online course on governance for transboundary freshwater security, which was developed by GWP, GEF, IWLearn, along with many global partners and experts from field of transboundary water. Since opening of its course in August 2020, the MOOC has now attracted around 2,700 participants from 157 countries around the world, confirming the need and interest for this learning about this subject. The course is available for anyone to take at their own pace. And now it's also translated into French, Chinese, and Portuguese, with more language options coming on its way. In order to enhance the learning experience and to provide an opportunity for the people to engage and interact with experts in the field, GWP and Wuhan International Water Law Academy have developed an online session series called Transboundary Freshwater Security Governance Training. In this series of events, we are highlighting not only the key topics of transboundary freshwater governance, but also to highlight various examples and expertise from different geographic locations around the globe, as if the train is stopping at the various locations in the world. Today, our train will be stopping at West Africa, Mediterranean, Central and Northern Europe, welcoming speakers from these places. Following successful sessions in 2020, today's session consists of the fourth event of the season 2 that started in September last year. Today's session is co-hosted by GWP, the UNECE, the Water Convention Secretariat, the Northumbria University, and Wuhan International Water Law Academy. Today's session has two main parts. The first part is a panel discussion by distinguished speakers where they will be sharing their experiences on the topic and answering your questions. The second part is a breakout session where you will all have opportunity to interact with experts. We have a great line of session chairs and speakers for the next 1.5 hours, so please stay till the end. Now, just a small housekeeping rule. This online session is recorded, so people who couldn't join due to the time zone difference and other commitments will be also able to view the discussions later on. Please always mute your audio during the plenary session or when others are speaking during the breakout. You can unmute your audio and will be invited to do so during the breakout, depending on when the moderator asks you to do so. The event will not only present the new knowledge, but will also welcome your inputs in the interactive session. So we count on your presence throughout the whole session. There's also a translation between English and French for today's event. So please choose the right channel at the bottom of your Zoom platform. You see on this PowerPoint on the right side, there is an icon. So you can just go down at the bottom of your Zoom screen and then choose this globe sign, then you will see French and English coming. Today's session is designed to be as interactive as possible for you to be able to ask your questions to experts and to also provide your thoughts and feedback to the subject. We'll be using the poll-if as the main interactive tool, particularly during the first session. Some of you have already used the poll-if while waiting for the event to start. So let's see the first poll-if question. Yes, this is what we saw. We see a lot of people coming from all over the world. Thank you so much for joining us. Now let's go to our first question. When was the first ever water treaty concluded? 2550 BC, 1747, or 1909? Which year? We see a lot of people choosing 2250 BC. So let's see the correct answer. Yes, that is correct. The Musée du Louvre in Paris holds this tangible evidence of the world's first known treaty, the Messilene Treaty, concluded in the 25th century BC between the two Mesopotamian states of Lagash and Umma to cooperate over irrigation and canal maintenance. Very, very interesting facts. Next question. Are you familiar with the practical guide on international water law published by UNECE? Yes, I know the guide and read it. Yes, I know, but I haven't read it. No, I don't know about it. Tell us. Okay, it seems more than half of the people know about it, but haven't read it. So I hope after this session, we have actually inspired you to read that guide. And for those around 37% who hasn't read it, I really hope that you will have a chance to read it and you will hear more about it in today's session. Okay, so let's go to the next question. So this is an open question. You can type and vote any questions to the panelists. And actually, some of you have already submitted the questions when you register to the Zoom. So those pre-submitted questions are already typed in here. So if you agree, you also want to know about these questions and the answers to this question, you can actually click. So that question goes up higher in the priority. And during the panel discussion, the moderator will be then picking the popular ones to be answered by the speakers. So we will keep this window open during the panel session. So please feel free to type in new questions or vote what you're interested in. So now this is my introduction, and I'm very, very happy to introduce you to the main session of today's online interactive session. And we have two great event co-chairs, Professor Alistair and Dr. Komlan Sangana. Next slide, please. So Professor Alistair, I think many of you are familiar with that. He's also a module coordinator for the International Water Law module for this MOOC. He has over 20 years experience in research, teaching, and consultancy related to international water law. And he's also, prior to joining this Northumbria University, Alistair worked in the Center of Water Law, Policy and Science, University of Dundee. He's been working very much on this SDG 652 reporting on the transboundary water under the Water Convention, and also his primary research focusing on developing knowledge and understanding of how transboundary water course treaties can work better. The fun fact, which is the most important information here, is that Alistair enjoyed camping and kayaking around the shores of Scotland in the summer, and his biggest achievement in life is family for sure. Great, welcome Alistair. Next, Dr. Komlan Sangana. He's a legal officer at the Secretariat of the Convention on Protection of the Use of Transboundary Water Courses and International Lakes, UNECE. He is from Togo. Komlan is a legal officer with Secretariat here, and he's particularly coordinating the convention's global opening program, especially for the African countries. And I must say he's been very, very successful. I think he can tell you, I think your country, Togo, has also recently been working towards this accession. So very, really great to hear that. Before joining the UNECE, Dr. Sangana worked at the Faculty of Law and Institute for Environmental Science at the University of Geneva, and he continues to do so. So the fun fact of Komlan is that he sang Let It Go by Frozen in karaoke after his daughter made him listen to it over and over several months. So maybe today, if you join in his breakout room, you might have opportunity to hear him singing. So let's see if you'll be lucky. So his biggest achievement in life is his family, of course. So both our co-chairs has great family, it seems. So now I would just like to hand over to Professor Alistair Clark, Dr. Komlan Sangana. Please welcome, and the floor is yours. Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Okay, thanks a lot, Yumiko, for this introduction, and good morning, everybody. It's a real pleasure to be part of this discussion on behalf of UNECE, the Water Convention Secretariat. So let me first say some few words about the practical guide. So just to introduce the discussion that we have today in some way, the focus on this practical guide. So I think, but before this, perhaps something I think is quite important to do is to present the Water Convention. I think most of you are quite familiar with the Water Convention, but just to say that the Water Convention is actually the legal and institutional framework for transboundary water courses. So a unique platform, intergovernmental platform under the aegis of United Nations to discuss transboundary water cooperation issues and contributing to sustainable development, international peace and security. And of course, the UNECE hosted the Secretariat of the Water Convention. So next slide, please. So the Water Convention emphasizes that cooperation in regard to the protection and use of transboundary waters shall be implemented primarily through the elaboration of agreements between riparian countries. So actually the key focus on one of the key, I would say, in terms of mandate of the Water Convention is really to support countries in developing such agreements and also establishing such joint bodies. And there you can see some figures, data of what have been achieved since the entry of force of the convention. Next slide, please. But now let me come to this practical guide. Is, I will say, the most important element that we want to discuss today. So how this the idea of the practical guide came. So the practical guide was foreseen by the program of work adopted by the meeting of parties at its eighth session in October 2018 for the period 2019 and 2021. And on the basis of this mandate, the Water Convention Secretariat started the preparation of the practical guide in February 2020 in cooperation with several partners, including GWP, Geneva Water Hub, and Northumbria University, with a preliminary study which provided a basis for the conceptual development of the tool. So subsequently, the Water Convention Working Group on IWM in October 2020 called upon countries or organizations to actively contribute to the development of the practical guide and entrusted the Secretariat in cooperation with the lead party and the drafting group to develop the text of the checklist. So the drafting group chaired by Hungary as a lead party and composed of experts with proven experience in working on the development of agreement and contributing in their own capacity was then established following a call of interest and started its work in November 2020. And this drafting group held several meetings to discuss the different drafts between November 2020 and May 2021. So we also had extensive round of review phase by countries and partners, including review by the Water Convention working groups on IWM and also monitoring and assessment, as well as the implementation committee. And those comments received by state and other partners during the process were addressed by the drafting group and in the finalized practical guide adopted during the 9th session of the meeting of the party last September in Geneva. Next slide. So actually, now coming to the practical guide. So the checklist, because checklist was the first first title that we gave to this tool, and finally during the discussion it came that yeah, I mean the most accurate and which make more sense is to use the practical guide in terms of which is more in link with the final objective of this tool. So this practical guide aims mainly at supporting countries in the design and drafting of the legal arrangement, but also in complementing them where legal frameworks are already in place and if countries so desire. So actually, the checklist does not aim to be prescriptive, but rather to serve as an agreement or arrangement builder, enabling countries to develop a legal arrangement tailored to their basin and other relevant national regional circumstances. So the main focus is on content and drafting options. So rather than the process, so it's quite important to have this difference. The focus of the practical guide is really on the content and not really on the process, even though the process matter. The targeted audience, state representatives, legal and technical experts, decision makers involved in negotiation of agreement, and of course staff and of river basin organization and other intergovernmental organization involved in water diplomacy. Next slide. 4 key messages were conveyed by the practical guide. So the first one is that there are several benefits to developing arrangement and agreement for transboundary water cooperation, as recalled by several UN entities resolutions and other high-level entities such as the high-level panel on water and peace. The second key message is the process of developing an agreement or other arrangement is itself an important outcome, as just mentioned before. Is the main focus of the practical guide is not the process, but the process matter and need to be considered. The third key message is that arrangement can take many shapes and forms, so there is no one size fit all context. And the last one in terms of key messages is that we need to consider existing national and international law and practices, which is quite important in terms of recalling the importance to consider existing obligations of countries when it comes to the negotiation of those legal frameworks. Next slide. So the structure of the practical guide, actually the practical guide is include 3 parts. So the document of the practical guide includes 3 parts. So we have an introductory chapter entitled about the checklist, which present the tool and explain its rationale and analytical framework, targeted audience, as well as how to use it. We also have a chapter called Setting the Context, which contains 3 key messages and some supporting notions that may be useful to support the use of the tool, and the tool itself. So the tool is built around 7 components, and so listed here. So we have 6 thematic models, which help structure an agreement or other arrangement. Building blocks provision issues that countries may consider, including within each model. Key aspect, which help define content and of building blocks, and introductory text of each building block, setting out its context and rationale, and key considerations, which explain different approaches that might be taken within the arrangement and the implications thereof. Examples from treaty practices that illustrate how to frame a particular provision. And finally, supporting resources which may assist countries in further developing the content of the building blocks. So a range of elements that really can help countries when it comes to negotiate and develop the legal frameworks. Next slide. So in this figure, you can have an overview of building blocks that might be included in an agreement. So I will not go in detail, but just I want to mention that the practical makes a distinction between the core building blocks and the supplementary blocks. So the core building blocks are those that form the basic structure of the arrangement. So basically blocks, the element that we can find in several arrangements over the world. The supplementary building blocks are those that countries may consider in light of their particular context. So this may cover a range of areas such as energy, agriculture, source of sea. So I mean, really a very range of area to be considered by countries depending on their specific context. Next slide. So as stated before, the practical guide is not a set of requirements, but a menu of options for consideration when discussing or developing an arrangement. As such, it proposes a way to use it as described in the figure you can see in the screen. So first, identify thematic models to structure the arrangement or the agreement. Secondly, consider which building blocks to include from each model. Thirdly, decide upon the type of provision to develop within a particular building block. And finally, rely on support resource for further details, justification, and explanations. So actually, the practical guide is a very, I would say, comprehensive work done by this drafting group with the support and the review of many experts from countries and organizations over the world. And we think that can really be helpful to be considered by all users when it comes to negotiate and develop an agreement. And I believe that discussion coming ahead will go in deeper on how best to take advantage on the practical guide. And perhaps I think I will stop here given the time, and happy to come back on some specific questions either on plenary or during the discussion in group. So thank you. And now I think I will pass the floor to Alistair, I guess. Yeah. Thank you.
Thanks, Komlan. Thanks a lot for giving us that really nice overview of a practical guide. Before we get to our panelists, what I'd like to do is to introduce them. And we've got a great lineup of panelists today. And that message from Komlan saying, that there's no one agreement and there's lots of different arrangements that fit different contexts. I think we'll hear a lot around a different context from our panelists. So first we have Dr. Martinino from the University of Geneva. She's also the lead legal specialist at the Geneva Water Hub, and she's advised many governments and international organizations around the world on legal issues related to water. She was an active member of the expert group developing the guide, and And a really important fact is that she has a license to ride reindeers. So I think this is something that's, if you're ever in need of that service, then I'm sure Mara will be happy to help you with. Then we have Dr. Alexandros Koliopoulos, legal counselor for the legal department of Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Greece. And he's worked for the ministry for more than 20 years and also participated in many international negotiations and meetings related to water. He served as a vice chair of the legal board of the Water Convention from 2020 to 2012, and was also an active member of the expert group that developed the guide. Then we have Dr. Fanny Levada, former chief legal advisor from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Greece, where she worked for over 30 years. And so, well, dealt with a wide range of international legal issues, including negotiation of legal arrangements related to transboundary waters, such as the development of the 1997 Watercourses Convention. And last but certainly not least, we have Mr. Nico Ndaur, who's Director of Water Resources Management and Planning at the Ministry of Water and Sanitation in Senegal, where he's worked for over 15 years. He has a background in agricultural engineering, particularly within specializing in water resources management. He's chaired the AMCO expert group, acts as a focal point for Water Hub in Dakar and a national focal point for Senegal under the Water Convention. So a real pleasure to have our panelists with us. I think it's a really great group, and I'm really looking forward to hearing from them and hearing their perspectives on the design of arrangements. So without further ado, let me pass over to our first panelist, Dr. Mara Tinino, and just to remind you that you have 5 minutes. Mara, over to you.
Bonjour, bon après-midi, bonsoir à tout le monde. C'est un grand plaisir d'être ici avec des collègues, mais aussi des amis. Et je voudrais juste dire, vu que peut-être pas tout le monde connaît les Geneva Water Hub. Les Geneva Water Hub, c'est un centre de l'Université de Genève dont l'objectif est la prévention des conflits sur l'eau. On utilise différents moyens pour parvenir à cet objectif, dont notamment les droits internationaux. Et on a les plaisirs de collaborer avec beaucoup de partenaires dans les secrétariats de la Convention eau, et on a eu les plaisirs de participer donc à ces groupes d'experts dont déjà Dr Sangana a parlé pour le développement de ces guides pratiques. Et donc, je vous invite vraiment à lire, et je vais chercher donc à vous donner certains éléments qui, en fait, ont été déjà abordés dans la présentation du Dr Sangbana. Mais voilà, je vais chercher peut-être à rebondir sur certains aspects. Donc, peut-être un premier élément que les guides met en exergue, c'est les bénéfices qui peuvent amener l'adoption et la négociation d'un accord sur les eaux transfrontières. Vous avez des publications du secrétariat de la Convention eau qui sont vraiment spécifiques aussi, qui se concentrent sur les bénéfices économiques, sociaux et environnementaux qui peuvent amener les accords sur les ressources en eau transfrontières. Et peut-être, voilà, je voudrais mettre en lumière les avantages socio-économiques, donc qui peuvent être liés à à la négociation et à l'adoption d'un accord, donc par exemple l'amélioration de la qualité de l'eau, des bénéfices donc pour les secteurs de l'agriculture, les usages industriels liés à l'eau. Donc vraiment les accords sur les ressources en eau transfrontières vont aussi au-delà du secteur de l'eau. Donc on a aussi des avantages environnementaux. Par exemple, on peut penser à la protection des zones humides qui peuvent être liées à un cours d'eau international et aussi donc à la meilleure gestion en général des écosystèmes liés au milieu des cours d'eau internationaux. Il y a aussi, comme je disais, des avantages qui vont au-delà du secteur de l'eau, qui sont liés à la paix et à la sécurité internationale, c'est-à-dire que ces accords peuvent aussi être un moyen pour renforcer la coopération régionale et être aussi un moyen de renforcer, d'être un élément d'intégration économique entre les États qui partagent donc un cours d'eau international. Il y a aussi les avantages liés donc à une meilleure gouvernance des ressources en eau, donc un accord transfrontalier a ses bénéfices en fait de mettre en place des règles claires sur le partage des ressources en eau et cela aussi amène donc une meilleure transparence dans la gestion des ressources en eau. Et donc, comme il a été déjà mentionné par le docteur Sangana, les processus de négociation d'un accord est déjà en soi un résultat important parce qu'en fait, cela permet de mettre autour d'une table toute une série d'acteurs qui parfois peuvent être dans une situation de manque de confiance pour pouvoir dialoguer entre eux. Next slide. Donc, si comme il a été déjà mentionné, donc un accord sur les ressources en eau transfrontières peut prendre vraiment différentes formes et c'est aux États de décider donc quelle forme un accord peut prendre. On peut mentionner, et les guides développent cet aspect, les États peuvent décider de mettre en place et d'adopter une convention cadre. Donc, dans le cas d'une convention cadre, on a des principes généraux qui sont donnés aux États pour mettre en place leur coopération. Il y a aussi une typologie particulière d'instruments qu'on trouve en fait en Afrique de l'Ouest que je tiens à souligner, ce sont les chartes de l'eau. Donc déjà l'emploi du terme des chartes indique presque la valeur constitutionnelle, on pourrait dire, de cet instrument. Et on peut avoir des accords bilatéraux ou multilatéraux. Donc, par exemple, on peut mentionner le statut du fleuve Uruguay des 75 entre l'Argentine et l'Uruguay comme accord bilatéral, même s'il y en a beaucoup d'autres, ou multilatéral, donc, où il y a plusieurs pays qui ont adopté l'accord, par exemple la Convention sur les Danube ou sur les Rhin. Et par la suite, on a donc les déclarations conjointes ou l'échange des lettres. Donc, la déclaration conjointe se différencie par rapport...
Mara, just to remind you, that's 5 minutes.
Ah, ok. Alors, donc, juste, la déclaration conjointe n'est pas adoptée donc, au niveau, ne passe pas par la ratification, mais est adoptée au niveau ministériel et les procès-verbal. Donc, il s'agit des documents adoptés au sein d'organismes des bassins. Next slide. Et donc, concernant les éléments qu'on doit prendre en compte au moment de la négociation d'un accord, vous avez déjà eu des éléments donnés par le docteur Sangana. Je voudrais rappeler donc les faits, si les États sont partis aux conventions globales des Nations Unies, quels sont les engagements des États adoptés dans les contextes d'accords multilatéraux environnementaux ou d'instruments des droits de l'homme. ou encore à tenir en compte s'il y a des conflits entre l'accord qui va être adopté et les droits nationaux. Next slide. C'est là aussi la dernière. Et donc là, voilà, vous trouvez un peu les éléments qu'on doit prendre en compte dans la négociation, dans l'adoption d'un accord. Et je vous invite vraiment à utiliser, à lire les guides pratiques qui expliquent en détail ces différents éléments et comment les États peuvent les prendre en compte et les développer dans le contexte de leur accord sur les ressources à nos transfrontières. Merci beaucoup.
Wonderful. Thank you, Mara. I think that gave us a really nice overview and context in terms of the design and elements of transboundary arrangements. So let's now turn to Nico and Dao, if I may, and provide us with a country perspective. Please, if I can remind you, I know you have so much experience, but please stick to 5 minutes. Thank you. Over to you.
Okay, merci, professeur Alistair. Bonjour tout le monde. Donc, rapidement, comme vous l'avez dit, hein, je vais essayer de respecter les 5 minutes. Donc, je partage avec vous aujourd'hui les expériences du moins d'accord sur les bassins du fleuve Sénégal, fleuve Gambie, ainsi que récemment l'initiative du bassin aquifère sénégalo-mauritanien qui est en cours de développement. Next slide. Voilà, au niveau de notre région, depuis les années 1970, depuis les années de sécheresse, nous avons développé au niveau des pays riverains du fleuve Sénégal et du fleuve Gambie, vraiment des accords pour renforcer et gérer de façon durable et bénéficier vraiment de cette ressource que nous avons dans un contexte sahélien. Et si vous le voyez au niveau du diapo, c'est la création de l'organisation de mise en valeur du fleuve Sénégal et du fleuve Gambie ont été faits successivement en 1972 et puis le fleuve Gambie en 1978. Et puis, les statuts juridiques ont été mis en place et qui confèrent ces fleuves comme des fleuves internationaux. Donc, c'est des fleuves qui appartiennent aux États vraiment qui sont riverains au niveau de ces fleuves. Et ça, c'est depuis les années 70. Et ce qui est intéressant, c'est que comme on a également cette expérience de statut international, il y a le fleuve Kayanga-Jeba et Kayanga, disons, et Kolibal-Kouroubal, qu'on a intégré dans le système du fleuve du bassin du fleuve Gambie. C'est des fleuves souvent qui appartiennent à des États, mais vu vraiment cette tradition de coopération, on a voulu également le mettre dans le système. Donc ça, c'est depuis 2008 que nous l'avons fait. Donc il y avait eu une extension du mandat de l'OMVG au fleuve Kayanga-Jeba, voilà, et Koribal. Au-delà de ça, nous avons
Sorry, Nico, I think you mute yourself. Can you please unmute yourself?
Excuse me. OK. Donc, je disais que nous avons mis en place des ouvrages et la caractéristique de ces ouvrages, c'est que c'est des ouvrages communs aux États parties. Et des conventions ont été mises en place pour vraiment fixer le statut de ces ouvrages et vraiment définir les droits et les obligations de ces États à être copropriétaires de ces ouvrages. Ces ouvrages, comme vous le savez, génèrent des bénéfices, génèrent de l'électricité, disons, appui à l'hydraulicité qui permet la navigation, appui également à l'agriculture. Donc, ce qui fait que il faudrait l'encadrer en termes de financement. Et là également, les modalités qui permettent d'encadrer les financements ont été définies dans des conventions avec une clé de répartition en ce qui concerne les charges et les coûts. Donc, tous ces textes sont signés par les chefs d'État et ratifiés par le Parlement, ce qui montre vraiment la dynamique de la concertation qui est autour pour vraiment mettre en place des arrangements institutionnels au niveau de ces cours d'eau transfrontières. Next slide. Allez-y. Voilà. Comme je l'ai dit, les ouvrages sont souvent gérés par des sociétés. Là également, des conventions ont été ratifiées. Nous avons les sociétés de gestion des barrages du diamant, la société de gestion de la navigation sur le fleuve Sénégal, etc., etc. Donc, un ensemble de, disons, de sociétés où également on a ratifié. Allez-y, next slide. Voilà, même chose pour la charte, hein, comme disait tout à l'heure Mara. Donc là également, pour respecter les obligations des États partis à utiliser de façon équitable et raisonnable ces ressources, une charte a été mise en place qui permet de manière vraiment, disons, concertée avec des techniciens à gérer cette ressource. Allez-y. Récemment, allez-y, next slide, je pense qu'il me reste 1 minute. Récemment, nous avons initié, comme vous le savez, au niveau de la région, nous avons ces fleuves transfrontières, mais nous avons également un aquifère transfrontière. Je pense que c'est le seul aquifère transfrontière au niveau de ce système OMVS-OMVG. Donc, il fallait vraiment compléter cette coopération. Et lorsque nous avons adhéré à la Convention sur l'eau de 1992, nous avons initié vraiment disons, ce projet pour aller vers une gouvernance, un dialogue concerté. Et finalement, peut-être, on va aboutir à vraiment à un accord au niveau de cet aquifère pour le gérer de manière durable, dans un contexte, bien entendu, de changement climatique, parce qu'on est des pays sahéliens. Donc, allez-y, next slide. Nous avons mis en place un groupe de travail qui, depuis 2 ans, hein, qui travaille d'arrache-pied pour vraiment voilà, mettre en place vraiment ce projet de gouvernance de cet aquifère. Et voilà, vous avez vu au niveau du diapo. Allez-y, dernier diapo, next slide. Voilà, et ça c'est les livrables. Allez-y, l'autre slide. Tout ça, c'est des travaux qu'on a fait pendant les 2 ans. Et voilà, et enfin, pratiquement, vous regardez un peu le projet qui est déjà mature et on veut aller à la mise en œuvre de ce projet de coopération au niveau du bassin sénégalo-mauritanien. Voilà un peu ce que je voulais partager avec vous et je vous remercie. Merci beaucoup.
That's fantastic. Thanks so much, Ndar. I think while brief, that really shows the wealth of experience that Senegal has in developing and implementing these arrangements. So I hope we can get into some of that detail during the panel discussion. So thanks, many thanks for that. Now let's turn to another country experience, and as I said, we're fortunate to have Alexandros Koliopoulos and Fanny Levada with us from Greece. So please, I'll pass over to you. 5 minutes, please.
Am I the first? I'm the first, I think. I will present the first part of a PowerPoint, which was prepared by my colleague, Mr. Alexis Koliopoulos, and by myself, and which regards that particular PowerPoint presents the international agreement concerning the protection and development of the Prespa Park area. The Prespa Park area, as we will see, is a commonly shared lake system which exists in the north of Greece and also in Albania and in former Macedonia. I mean in North Macedonia. Sorry. So would you please give me the next slide? Well, the lakes concerned are two international lakes, micro and macro Prespa. It's a small and a big Prespa, if I translate it in common Greek or other languages, which are separated by a narrow strip of land. Their exceptionally rich biodiversity is supported by the lake's ecosystem, and they are, I have to add here, that they are a place of extreme beauty, which has been, for which some sort of cooperation has been developing over the years. Now, as I said before, there are three countries which are riparian to the Prespa Lakes. This is Greece, Albania, and North Macedonia. The creation of the Prespa Park came through with a declaration of the three countries' prime ministers. And in that particular, and after that particular declaration, we had the coordination committee, which was established in 2001. Much along the lines of the guide which has been prepared to us and has been developed by the ECE, an action plan was formulated even before that time, in 2005, which put forward proposals to enhance cooperation. It is interesting that it contains many of the elements which will appear later on in the guide, which we're talking mainly at this instance. Further on, we have a joint statement in 2009, which moved the process towards an agreement, which was finally signed in 2010. Could I have the next slide, please? As I said, this combined in some sort of way the elements of an already existing cooperation. There we have many suggestions, as I said before, of the 2005 action plan being brought in so as to create a management committee, which has taken a significant role ever since. Also, we have to note that the requirements of the EU Water Framework Directive, such as the production of management plans, were duly taken into account. And then one important element here too is that the EU is a contracting party to the 2010 agreement. So it is really a quadrilateral agreement, not a trilateral agreement. Another thing to take very seriously into consideration is that the principles of the Water Convention, the Helsinki Convention, such as the ecosystem approach, the integrated management approach, principle, the elimination of transboundary impact, and sustainable development are duly reflected in the agreement. And there I stop and I let my colleague Alexandros Koliopoulos to go on with the rest of the PowerPoint. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Fanny. Good afternoon, colleagues and friends. And thanks very much to the Global Water Partnership for its invitation to join this important meeting. May I ask for the, okay, it's already on the screen. The 2010 agreement opts for a holistic approach of the whole area, which, as Fanny said, is of extreme beauty. First of all, it provides for the integrated management of surface and groundwater resources of the Prespa Lakes catchment area. And in this respect, there are provisions regarding the need to ensure the appropriate quality and quantity of the waters to preserve the ecosystems, and also ensure water uses, including of course, ensuring drinking water, and also prevent pollution. But the agreement is not limited just to the management of waters. It provides also for the protection of the ecosystems, both aquatic and non-aquatic, and also of the biodiversity of the park area, given that in the area we find endemic and sometimes rare species of fauna and flora, habitats which have to be preserved and protected. And part of the area regarding the territory of Greece is a Ramsar site and also Natura site. At the end, the agreement provides for the sustainable development of the area and the conservation of cultural heritage. And in Article 3, Paragraph 2, we find the provisions regarding the need for ensuring sustainable agriculture in the Perespa Park area, low impact animal breeding, and also for the implementation of a joint strategy among the parties regarding the touristic development of the area. Next slide, please. The agreement has a very rich cooperation mechanism. At the top of it, we find the ministerial high-level segment, which provides for political orientations to the Perespa Park Management Committee. That means at least twice a year. The head of the institutional mechanism is the Perespa Park Management Committee, whose membership is not limited just to state representatives. Its members are one representative for the Ministry of Environment of each member state, representatives also of local communities, of NGOs which are active in the area, and also from representatives from local management authorities. And one observer from the Ohrid Management Committee and from the Ramsar Convention may also attend the meetings of the Perespa Park Management Committee. And this really wide composition of the committee ensures that all stakeholders are involved in decision making. And also local society is also involved in this decision making. Finally, the Perespa Park Management Committee may institute subsidiary bodies, but one body is already provided for in the agreement itself. It's a working group of water management, which, given that water management is a priority issue under this convention, its members have already been nominated by the parties. And this working group of water management will make recommendations to the Perespa Park Management Committee on issues of water management, of course. At the end, we have the Secretariat, which is composed of 3 representatives from each member state, plus 1 director, which shall be chosen after international call for applications. And the Secretariat supports the whole institutional mechanism, ensures also liaison with other bodies and also liaison with other bodies. So to my view, this really very rich mechanism, which is open to stakeholders and local people, provides guarantee that whatever is decided there will be better implemented at the local level. Next slide, please.
Alexis, if you could wrap up. Sorry.
Okay. Thanks to Alistair. Just one final word. In the introduction to the guide, we have 9 questions regarding what should be included in a water agreement. And I was glad to see that all these 9 issues are already in the Perespa Park Water Agreement, although the agreement predates the guide. And this provides a proof that the guide is based on existing treaty practice. And so it has a solid basis behind it and can provide useful guidance for development of agreements in the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Alexis. Thank you, Fanny. That's again a really rich presentation for such a short time, and I'm really keen to get into more of the interactive part of this workshop. But before we do that, I would like to ask the panelists just one question, which is coming through from Paul Eve, and there's actually 2 questions that are quite similar, and it's about the elements of the agreements. There are 2 questions that have just disappeared from my Polivi, but they asked about what were the key ingredients of an arrangement. And so I think we've heard a bit about that within the guide, but I'd be interested to hear each of a panelist's perspective on what do they think are the most core, the most core elements of a legal arrangement for transboundary waters. So if we could just briefly hear from the panelists on that, that would be great. So let's follow the same order, and Mara, I'll turn to you first.
Oui, merci de la question. Et, bon, je pense qu'en fait, tous les 9 éléments, non, qui indiquent les guides sont importants à tenir en compte dans un accord. Après, justement, en lisant les guides, on peut voir, non, les niveaux des détails. À mon avis, voilà, la différence, et qui fait la différence dans la négociation, c'est les niveaux des détails qu'on peut donner à chaque de ces 9 éléments indiqués dans les guides. Merci.
Great, thanks. Nico, over to you as well. For your experience of the agreements that Senegal has entered into, what do you see are the core, the most important aspects of those agreements that really make them work?
Oui, pour moi, je pense qu'il faudrait qu'il y ait une solidarité, hein, une solidarité. Il faut un dialogue entre les parties. S'il y a disons, cet état d'esprit de dialogue, de solidarité et les besoins d'aller ensemble, je pense qu'après, le reste, c'est un processus de mise en place du cadre juridique. Bon, je ne peux pas rentrer dans les aspects juridiques, mais moi, je pense que c'est un préalable. Hein. Il faut qu'il y ait un engagement politique, il faut qu'il y ait une solidarité, un dialogue. C'est ça peut-être la clé pour moi. Merci.
Wonderful, thank you. Alexis and Fanny, same question to you in your experience of a Prespa Park agreement and others.
Would you like me to start? Yes, the question is, I understand what are the most important elements in an agreement of this sort. Well, first of all, I would say that every particular basin, every country has its own parameters which it wants to safeguard. But I would say in general that first of all, negotiations, and this is a general statement, must be done in good faith. Without it, nothing can be done. Second, a good knowledge of water law. There should always be there the good lawyer who knows what is going on in the world and can take the advantage. And there is the great significance of your guide, which really contains whatever is in this world which is of interest in the negotiation for such a regulation of international waters. Third, I would say, but this is my own perception of the thing, is that there are 2 basic principles which always have to be respected. It's the principle of reasonable, equitable, and reasonable equitable use, and second, the no harm rule. These are 2 basic blocks, 2 basic elements which have always to be taken into account, because otherwise a convention or any instrument, juridical or not binding or non-binding, cannot be really fair. Thank you.
Wonderful, thank you. Alexis, you have something to add to that?
Thank you, Alistair. Following what Fanny said, I would say that it's also important to clearly define the scope of the agreement, and I mean both the geographical scope, for instance, so that there are no misunderstandings at the end whether such tributary is included or not, etc., in scope of the agreement, and also the uses which are going to be covered in the agreement. objectives and principles are very important. We have all this in the guide. And of course, a joint body which will have competencies and will meet often. And before closing, I would like to echo what Nico said. It is very important that the states which are negotiating such an agreement have the sense of the community of interest. The Transboundary river or lake is joint, so they have to really cooperate to protect it and its related ecosystems. And that this is in the interest of both of them, of all of them. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. That's great contributions. Thanks so much to the panelists for that. The bad news is that we're finished the panel discussion, but the good news is that we're just moving on to the interactive session, and the participants will have an opportunity to ask you directly questions during the breakout. So for me, I'll just say a huge thank you to the panelists. We really enjoyed your presentations, and I'll hand over to Yumiko to explain how we organize the breakouts. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Alistair, and thank Komlan, and thank you to all the panelists for great presentations and interactions. Now, I know you have so many still pending questions, but now we are going to bring you into smaller groups so you can ask your question directly to the speakers. Today, we have a little bit unique approach. Two of the breakout groups, the discussion will focus around this practical guide that is published by UNECE recently that we have just been talking about. So that will be the group 1 and group 2. Group 1 will be in French, and it's going to be led by Dr. Martignino and Dr. Komlan. And group 2 will be led by myself and Professor Alistair Clark, and that will be in English. Then we have a group 3. Whoever would like to hear more about this Greece experience, to Alexandros and Fanny, will be facilitated by Lisa, my colleague from GWP. And this group, we will not have a simultaneous translation, but our speakers and facilitators can speak both English and French. So there is no worry about the language here. And if you have some questions to Nico or Nidor about the Senegal experience, this group will be facilitated by Professor Patricia Wooders, the director of the Wuhan International Water Academy and a real expert in this subject. And this group will be staying here. So you will have actually the simultaneous translator, both English and French. Speaker will be mostly speaking in French, but you can ask questions in English. So we'll be opening the breakout groups in a minute. And then when we open it, you will see on the bottom of the screen, this sign you see on this screen, these 4 squares, it says breakout. And you click here, and then you will see the menu of options, of which, and then you just click to join to the group that you want to go to. And if you don't know how to do it, don't worry, just type in the chat which group you want to go to, and our technical host will help you to go to the right group. Okay, so I hope this is clear for everyone, and please check host, open the breakout group.
Actually, we can open the rooms now. We can start that now. You're mute, sorry. Sorry, Pat, you're mute.
Salut, ok, non, ça va? Nico, comment allez-vous?
Oui,
bonjour.
Ça va. Bonjour.
Ça fait longtemps quand même.
Ouais.
Merci beaucoup pour votre présentation aujourd'hui, c'était magnifique. J'aimerais parler en plus de Sénégal, l'expérience Sénégal qui est formidable. Maintenant, pour le groupe, est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui veut poser une question? Ça peut être en anglais ou bien en français. moi j'essaie en français quand même. C'est ça. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un qui voulait poser une question? Lève la main. Raphaël? Non. On ne peut pas vous entendre, Raphaël. Raphaël? Ou bien il y a quelqu'un d'autre? OK. Raphaël? Non. Sinon, moi, je vais commencer.
OK.
Monsieur.
Oui, non, ça va maintenant. Je ne pouvais pas.
OK,
Oui.
Raphaël, OK. OK,
va.
est-ce que vous pouvez vous introduire et describez-vous un petit peu?
Yes, my name is Raphael Muchunguzi Lucas. I'm a Tanzanian.
Il y a un autre Raphaël là-bas. Moi, c'est Raphaël Ichimanga. Je suis de la République démocratique du Congo. Alors, je suis directeur du Centre de recherche en ressources en eau du bassin du Congo, CREBAC.
Vous avez une question?
Pour le moment, non. Mais ça va aller.
Oh, OK, OK. Est-ce qu'il y a quelqu'un d'autre qui a une question? Peut-être moi, je vais commencer. J'ai étudié bien Sénégal et votre expérience là-bas. Qu'est-ce que vous pensez est le secret du succès pour votre expérience? Parce que ça commençait quoi en 1972 et jusqu'à maintenant avec les eaux souterraines. Oui, c'est vraiment un travail quand même.
C'est ça.
OK, dis-nous, c'est quoi le succès?
Voilà, comme je l'ai dit tout à l'heure, le secret et ce qui a vraiment nous a valu vraiment cette chance, c'est qu'on a un fort engagement politique. C'est vraiment au début, et les présidents qui étaient là, des pays partis du fleuve Sénégal, avaient pris l'engagement. Il y avait un engagement politique. C'est vraiment cet engagement politique qui a fait qu'on est arrivé à ce niveau. Peut-être aussi, on peut dire que il y avait cette tradition de coopération avec ce qu'on appelait un peu la Sénégambie, disons, le Mali et le Sénégal, à un moment donné, étaient au même pays. Donc, il y avait déjà une certaine tradition dans les années 60. Voilà. Et en plus de ça, on a eu une forte sécheresse dans les années 70. Voilà. Donc, il y avait un fort besoin des États de sauvegarder cette ressource que nous avons dans des pays sahéliens. Voilà, la Mauritanie, le Mali, le Sénégal. Donc, vous voyez, il y a ce besoin, mais il y a aussi l'engagement politique. Je pense que ça, c'est un point de départ très important. Et voilà.
Oh, merci. Est-ce qu'il y a des questions? Parce que maintenant, c'est pour engager, pour échanger les idées, des expériences du monde. Une autre question? Parce que moi, j'ai beaucoup de questions quand même. S'il n'y a pas des besoins forts, s'il n'y a pas de bonnes bases de coopération, qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Qu'est-ce qu'on fait? Et deuxièmement, c'est quoi l'impact de la guide? Le guide, c'est bon pour quoi? Est-ce que ça fait des choses pour vous ou non? Même maintenant, parce que vous avez une grande histoire de coopération, le guide, est-ce que ça vous donne quelque chose de nouveau? C'est une question. Le deuxième, c'est pour les autres États du monde qui n'a pas de base comme Sénégal. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait?
Oui, bon, peut-être je vais commencer par ça. Qu'est-ce qu'on fait si on n'a pas vraiment cette base d'engagement politique? Je pense que ce qu'il faudrait, c'est de commencer au niveau technique, l'expertise technique pour mieux connaître le bassin transfrontalier, regarder, bien diagnostiquer les atouts et les enjeux et les risques du point de vue technique et d'engager un processus de plaidoyer auprès des autorités politiques et des différentes autorités au niveau de ces bassins. Je pense que la première chose, c'est une meilleure connaissance de ce bassin s'il n'y a pas, vraiment cet engagement politique. Et ça, c'est possible avec les moyens qu'on a, les différents techniciens des pays. On peut renforcer leurs capacités pour mieux connaître. Je pense que ça, si on ne commence pas au niveau politique, le mieux, c'est de renforcer les capacités techniques, voilà, au niveau technique pour mieux connaître les enjeux et de voir, de sentir la nécessité d'aller plus loin dans la coopération. Donc ça, pour moi, c'est les pays qui ne dialoguent pas. Je pense qu'il faut avoir cette approche au niveau des structures qui gèrent voilà, ces ressources en eau, des capacités voilà, qu'ils puissent vraiment aller de l'avant avec leur pays vers ça. Bon, maintenant, le guide est très important. C'est vrai que pour nous qui sommes en avance, un peu, bon, je ne dirais pas, parce que la coopération, c'est la diplomatie. On ne dit pas qu'on est toujours en avance. On peut être en avance, mais la diplomatie, c'est la diplomatie. Hein, voilà. Mais je sais qu'on a acquis de l'expérience par rapport à la coopération. Le guide est là pour toujours nous aider à parfaire peut-être certains aspects. Parce qu'au niveau de la coopération, il y a certaines transfrontières, certains domaines, on le couvre, mais on ne peut pas couvrir tout d'un seul coup. Le guide vient comme on dit en anglais, update, voilà, nous appuyer à faire voilà, la mise à jour. Voilà, pour nous, pays qui sommes, on peut peut-être acquis certaines expériences au niveau de la coopération. C'est ça l'avantage du guide pour nous. Voilà.
OK, merci beaucoup. Oui,
Je peux aussi poser une question.
Oui, Raphaël.
Merci beaucoup, Patricia. Merci beaucoup à notre orateur, M. Nicole. Voilà, c'est la deuxième fois que je vous suis. Félicitations, c'est toujours enrichissant. Alors, ma question, c'est que bon, dans la mise en œuvre dans ce processus de mettre en place les conventions, alors, quelles ont été les difficultés rencontrées, n'est-ce pas? Et comment vous êtes parvenu à pouvoir les surmonter? Et aussi, comment vous rassurez-vous que les intérêts des parties prenantes sont vraiment pris en compte, puisqu'il y a toujours cette difficulté où les autres se voient qu'ils ont plus d'intérêt qu'ils vont devoir le perdre. C'est vraiment la difficulté que nous sommes en train de rencontrer dans le bassin où d'autres pays n'ont pas encore mis en place vraiment le véritable processus des conventions de partage des eaux transfrontalières. Alors, comment est-ce qu'on parvient à pouvoir surmonter les grandes difficultés? Quelle est votre expérience? Je note par exemple le cas récent que nous avons eu dans le bassin du Congo, où nous avions eu le cas de pollution. À partir de l'Angola, il y a eu des activités minières qui ont contribué à la pollution des rivières dans un sous-bassin du bassin du Congo, le sous-bassin du Kasaï, et la pollution avait duré presque 1 mois. Alors, il y a eu quand même, c'était quand même une catastrophe environnementale qui s'était observée. Mais du coup, on s'est rendu compte qu'il n'y avait pas une convention de collaboration entre l'Angola et la RDC, la République démocratique du Congo. Et il n'y avait pas un cadre de dialogue et c'était difficile de pouvoir aborder ce cas directement. Il fallait recourir à il fallait recourir à la Commission internationale du bassin du Congo, Bangui Sanga Sikos, mais qui aussi n'inclut pas cette partie de l'Angola et de Kasaï dans son mandat. Alors, c'était un cas vraiment qui, on dirait qu'il y avait un vide juridique quelque part. Alors, il fallait du coup recourir aux instances internationales, ce qui n'a pas été fait, et la situation est restée pendante. Alors, ce sont les difficultés que nous rencontrons. Je ne sais pas si vous avez aussi connaissance des difficultés pareilles et comment vous êtes parvenu à pouvoir les surmonter.
Merci, Raphaël. En tout cas, merci, c'est une excellente question. Et merci aussi des compliments. Comme je dirais, hein, bon, malgré, disons, même si on a un dispositif de coopération, les difficultés sont là. Voilà, ils sont toujours là. Mais l'avantage, c'est qu'on a ce dispositif qui permet de régler les difficultés. Comme vous l'avez dit, nous, dans le processus de gouvernance, ce n'était pas facile. Il y avait certes les fleuves qui ont un statut international, on a des ouvrages communs, ce qui est unique hein, pratiquement au monde. On a des organismes de bassin, mais malgré ça, pour avancer dans la coopération, souvent il y a des contraintes. Souvent, pour l'allocation, il faut bien dialoguer, voilà. Pour la répartition des charges, pour l'investissement même, pour faire construire l'ouvrage, parce que c'est les pays qui s'endettent, ce n'est pas l'organisme de bassin. Tout ça, c'est des cotisations, voilà. Tout ça, c'est des difficultés, peut-être qui n'est pas les mêmes pour ceux qui n'ont pas encore un arrangement institutionnel. Mais malgré ces difficultés, je pense que l'outil principal, qui reste un outil important dans ça, nous qui avons un arrangement institutionnel, c'est l'organisme de bassin ou le comité. S'il y a un comité ou un organisme de bassin qui est là, qui suit les questions, il y a des approches au niveau des États avec les autorités politiques pour faire avancer la chose. Et c'est tout un processus, c'est long. Voilà, c'est un processus très, très, très long. On ne peut pas le régler d'un coup. Les questions de pollution aussi existent, mais cela, je pense qu'il faut, comme je le disais tout à l'heure, une approche très technique, c'est-à-dire renforcer les capacités des acteurs, même les populations riveraines, à mieux appréhender la question. Parce que après, c'est eux-mêmes qui vont prendre en charge la question. Les populations, les techniciens qui sont là-bas. Donc, peut-être à votre niveau, je dirais, s'il n'y a pas un comité, c'est vrai qu'il y a certaines instances régionales qui peuvent se servir de catalyseurs, de facilitateurs ou bien même d'organisation, même s'il n'y a pas une instance au niveau des riverains du fleuve. Ce qu'il faudrait, c'est mettre l'accent sur la capacité des acteurs nationaux à bien appréhender la chose et à bien le prendre en charge en termes de suivi et même capacité des populations riveraines. Voilà. Et ça, je pense que c'est important, ça permet après que les politiques avec les autorités locales de prendre la question, même s'il n'y a pas encore un arrangement institutionnel, pour voir comment le régler dans d'autres instances régionales. Voilà, et ça permet d'amorcer cet arrangement au niveau du cours international. Si c'est le bassin du Congo, je pense que vous avez la CICOS, hein, c'est ça. C'est au niveau du bassin du Congo, voilà. Je pense que ça aussi, voilà, cette institution joue déjà un rôle important parce que j'ai assisté à des rencontres de la CICOS. C'est vrai qu'il y a certaines priorités, mais la priorité de l'eau aussi, je pense, est prise en compte. Voilà, même si ça devait être mis plus en exergue. Voilà. En tout cas, c'est ça, et vraiment, merci de cette question. Donc, On est cité en exemple, mais on a aussi des difficultés à surmonter. C'est pour vous dire que chaque jour, on essaie de surmonter. Mais la clé, c'est le dialogue. C'est de maintenir ce dialogue. Voilà, si ce dialogue, ce lien est maintenu, c'est un processus et ça va se régler au fur et à mesure. Merci.
Oh, merci les deux pour la question, pour la réponse. C'est intéressant quand même et ça dépend. Maintenant, on a deux questions et je vais prendre les deux en même temps pour qu'on puisse vous voir et vous entendre. Raphaël Lucas et après Aruna José. So, Raphaël Lucas, vous êtes où? Vous êtes qui, de où? Et votre question. Et après, on a José Aruna. OK, Raphaël Lucas, please.
Thank you. I'm Rafael Lucas. I'm a Tanzanian working with the Tanzania Meteorological Authority. Professional, I'm a hydrologist. By the moment, I'm talking from St. Petersburg, Russia. And I have two questions to Mr. Nico. First questions we have in our dialogue, we have to consider the political regimes, political status of the countries, and the political regime do change in according to different ways, and sometimes can bring some difficulties for implementations of agreements. How secure does your agreement between those three countries you mentioned before can be stable during the change of regime? The second question is, for the first question, how stable that or how secure the agreement. And the second question I have, we have discussed about how to maintain the fauna and the flora of the system, of the river system. As a professional, I know what we can do, but we have the so-called communities, and the communities of different ethnics and different countries with different roles on the different countries. How does the experience of you that you had can bring those people of different ethnicity, different roles, countries, and can bring together to solve the problems facing the rivers we had in Africa? Because we have that in every country. Every country has the difference, and the problem have to appear to every commitment. So how do we solve this problem? Thank you.
Oh, Raphael, I love those questions, and I miss Tanzania. I have so many friends there. Thank you very much. I love those questions. Communities, oh my heavens. Okay, maintenant, Aruna Jose. Jose Aruna, please.
Okay, bonjour, good morning everybody.
Vous êtes où? Vous êtes qui?
Je suis en RDC, je travaille pour Congo Basin Conservation Society. J'ai une petite question par rapport au niveau d'implication des acteurs de la société civile dans le mécanisme de coopération sous-régionale et surtout avec un focus orienté sur les eaux transfrontalières. Parce qu'au niveau de la coopération, au niveau des engagements internationaux, on ne sent pas la place de la société civile. Et quand il y a des décisions d'appuyer les initiatives en termes de gestion des bassins transfrontaliers, en termes de questions liées aux ressources en eau, il y a moins de considération de la société civile. Nous pensons que la communauté internationale et sous-régionale devra tenir compte de cette question parce que sans la société civile, la plupart des décisions prises au niveau international et sous-régional aura moins d'impact sur le terrain. Voilà un peu ma suggestion.
Merci beaucoup. Okay.
I'm sorry to interrupt, Patricia,
yes?
but the time is
just about up.
Yeah.
One minute left for the questions.
No, sorry, we're
just going back.
We'll be back in 10 seconds. Sorry.
Okay, 10 seconds. Nicole, I'm very sorry.
Thank you. Very, very short, no problem. OK, merci beaucoup. Bon, pour la question de Lucas de la Tanzanie, c'est vrai, le dialogue, si le régime politique change, comment maintenir ce dialogue? Moi, je pense que c'est dans nos pays, par exemple, quand vous prenez le système de OMVS, quand il y avait un peu malentendu avec Sénégal et Mauritanie, l'accord continue, l'organisme de bassin continue à fonctionner. Donc, en tout cas, nous, à notre niveau, ça n'impacte pas l'accord ratifié voilà, au plus haut niveau. Comment, voilà,
Thank you so much. I think we are all back.
Okay.
So if you could just make a final remark and then we'll go to the plenary now. Yeah, everybody's back. Nicole, is it okay? Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. I really hope that everyone has enjoyed your breakout session. I know time is never enough, but I'm very happy that you had this lively discussion. And yes, so we will also, at the end of this session, we'll also tell you about our plans for some next steps so that you can continue this conversation. So I would like to now invite each from each room, the speakers, the final remarks. Perhaps I could start invite from Mara, if you could just say final words. Everyone.
Merci beaucoup. En fait, on a eu un échange sur comment soutenir les États dans les processus de ratification d'un accord sur les ressources à nos transfrontières et aussi sur les rôles de la société civile. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Mara. I would like to invite Nicor to give a final remark, please. Mr. Nicor Nidor, please, the floor is yours.
Ok, merci, Dr. Nicor. Donc, bon, moi, mon dernier mot, c'est essayer de renforcer la coopération au niveau de nos bassins. Et je pense que d'essayer de voir comment globaliser la Convention sur l'eau qui permet qui est un cadre global pour prévenir les conflits liés à l'eau, qui est actuellement un enjeu mondial. Donc, je pense que c'est important et essayer de voir comment montrer les bénéfices de la coopération au sein de nos bassins transfrontières. Merci beaucoup.
Thank you so much. Very important point. Alexis and Fanny, maybe perhaps one of you could give a final remark from your discussions.
Fanny, are you going to do so?
No, you do that.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I would say that although once we elaborated the Prespa-Park Agreement, the guide was not existent. In fact, we had already in mind the principal orientation of the guide, and we are happy to see that it exists. It could be of great help for the elaboration of future agreements. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Alexandros. Finally, Alistair.
Yeah, thanks, Yumiko. Yeah, we had good discussion. I think one of the key points that came out around the guide is maybe also expectation. It's not going to magically bring countries together, but if there is willingness, I think the guide can help to support that discussion, look at different options in terms of what arrangements might work and what experiences could be learned from some of the great examples, for instance, that we heard today. So I think as a tool for that, it can play a useful role going forward.
Thank you very much, Alistair. I would like to thank all the panelists and the speakers and the chair for this wonderful session, and for everyone for joining so actively in this discussion. Now I would like to give some final point here. Please stay just for a few more minutes. We would like to do a bit of a wrap-up poll, if just to give you opportunity to reflect, and also we want to also hear from you. So here is a survey. If you go to this polleve.com/GWP, you will come to this survey, and there are 4 questions. The first question is, what have you learned today from today's session? Please just type in either in English or French, doesn't matter. Please tell us what you have learned today. And then we have a question now. Are you now familiar with the practical guide? Choose, please. Yes, understand fully and ready to apply. Second is, you better have a better understanding of this guide, but you need some further guidance. And if you're not too clear still, it was too difficult for me to understand, please choose the last one. And then we also would like to hear, how do you intend to apply the practical guide? And if you need more guidance, then please let us know what it is. And finally, if you're interested to learn more about the guide, please also indicate your name and email for the organizer to reach out. So this is optional. And then once you are finished, please click submit the survey. Survey is open after this session as well. But I would appreciate if you can all fill in. And maybe I would just like to invite Komlan to give some final remarks on this point, particularly on the practical guide. And the next step, what is the next step? Tell us.
Okay, thank you very much, Yumiko. Alors, je vais le faire en français, ces remarques finales. C'est d'abord merci pour l'invitation d'avoir pu participer et contribuer à cette session. On est vraiment au début. Ce guide a été développé et est à disposition des pays, des organismes de bassin et de tout autre partenaire travaillant sur les questions liées au développement des accords établissement des organismes de bassin. Et donc, l'idée, c'est vraiment que l'on puisse s'approprier. C'est pour cela que nous invitons toutes des personnes intéressées à appliquer ce guide pratique ou en faire une utilisation, ou tous ceux qui souhaiteraient avoir un renforcement de capacité en ce qui revient au développement de ces accords. Donc, ils peuvent nous adresser un email à cet effet. Donc, je pense que l'adresse du secrétariat de la Convention dans wata.convention@un.org qui ressort. Donc, vous pouvez nous adresser votre manifestation d'intérêt. À cet effet, nous ferons un suivi. Et donc, ce guide pratique qui a été inclus dans le nouveau programme de travail de la Convention pour 2022-2024 sera développé premièrement un outil en ligne. Donc, avec les bonnes pratiques qui seront collectées, avec des liens vers des accords. Donc, c'est vraiment ce projet que nous avons, c'est de transformer ça en un outil en ligne où les États peuvent, où tous les personnes intéressées peuvent directement faire utilisation de cet outil. Donc, nous vous tiendrons informés de ce qui sera fait. Nous allons travailler avec nos partenaires GWP ainsi que tous les autres pour le développement en fait de ce online toolkit. Et donc sur ce, une fois de plus, c'est remercier les initiateurs de cette session. Nous restons à disposition. N'hésitez pas à nous contacter si vous voulez plus d'informations sur le guide pratique. Merci.
Thank you very much, Komlan, for this last word and also telling us about the next step. Very excited to hear about the plans for the online toolkit. And you can see on the chat, Tobias has pasted the water.convention@un.org. So if you have any comments, if you have some questions, whatever, please also send it there, as well as please fill in your survey. Now, I would like to give very important information. If the tech host could just put up the slide again. For the next step from the MOOC events and online session side. Thank you so much. Now, you are hopefully many of you are part of the MOOC, but if not, please do sign up to the MOOC. There are different 6 modules, and there are also today many questions in my group about negotiation and water diplomacy relevant questions, and there's a module about that. It's free for you to sign up. You would have to pay a small fee for the certificate, but there's also a scholarship for it. It is open until August this year, so please go and sign up if you haven't done it. Next, I also would like to tell the great news for the French speakers. Our MOOC is completely translated into French and is available on the CapNet site. It's a different website, so please feel free to sign up. And finally, the next event, I would like to now hand over to my colleague Lisa to announce our exciting plan about the next step. Lisa, please, over to you.
Absolutely. So you might have attended some of the events that we had last year. And so recognizing all of the efforts that have been put into the MOOC and into the MOOC events, we have embarked on this journey to develop an online knowledge exchange hub, which is going to be called Transboundary Knowledge Exchange Hub. And it will be acting as a live portal for transboundary water professionals to exchange their experience to enable peer-to-peer learning, so we can learn from each other's case studies. And over the last year, we received quite a lot of feedback from the participants of these sessions and also the MOOC learners about the need to engage with the network beyond online events, to share their knowledge. So this online exchange hub will, so to speak, aim to fill in the existing gap for any kind of virtual collaboration in the transboundary community. So for us, for the team, in order to know what are exactly the user needs and which content would you prefer to see, which opportunities to engage with, we would like to invite you to join for a focus group discussion. It will take place the first session on Thursday, March the 3rd at 9 o'clock CET. And then we also have the second session on Monday, March the 7th at 4 o'clock CET for different time zones. And to give you a little bit an overview of what we're going to be discussing, so you can see on the slide that it's going to be hosted as a community within the new GWP toolbox, the new initiative that has been piloted this year. And it's going to be an open discussion where we present the concepts to you. So you're going to get a glimpse of what is in the works, and also participate in the development of the community. So we're looking forward to your feedback, and we also need some of your voices to build this together. So please follow the links that my colleague is going to post in the chat to register, and we are looking forward to see you very soon. Yumiko, thank you. Handing over back to you.
Excellent. Thank you, Lisa. We are very excited about this opportunity. GWP's new toolbox has this feature to host such hub. So we, like if we have this already up running, actually, we could even continue today's conversation on the hub right after the event. But it's almost, we will hopefully start this very, very soon, so you can utilize this for further communication on the certain topics. And you, from the experience that we have such a diverse experience among many of you, that not necessarily speakers, you're participants, but you are wealth of knowledge. And I think this is such an opportunity for you to be really sharing that. And we have clearly seen the need for it. So please come and join our session and tell us what you really want in this kind of hub. So thank you very much for this. And I would like to now conclude today's session by thanking all the speakers and the chairs and the panelists, the facilitators for this wonderful session. I think it was so very, very rich in many ways. And we very much look forward to continuing to exchange with everyone. And thank you everyone for participating. And before we close, I would like to invite everyone to open your camera for a group photo. For our memory, I think it's very nice to have this always. And please bear in mind that GWP may be using this photo for our promotional materials related to the MOOC or the event. So please, if you don't want to be featured in any of these, our promotional materials, please feel free to keep your camera closed. But now I would like to ask tech hosts to take the photo and maybe everyone to wave to each other. And a big smile. We really need a big smile for the first event of the year. Very nice to see. Thank you. Thank you. Tech host, let us know when you are finished taking the photos, so we can stop waving. We see very nice variety of faces here. So happy. Some familiar, some new friends. Very, very welcome. We
Thank
really
you,
look forward to thank you. We really look forward to seeing you either on the March 3rd or March 7th. We've given 2 different days and 2 different times, so many of you can join. So I really hope that you can all join us. Thank you so much for today, and I'm really looking forward to continuing our conversation. See you at the next event. Thank you.